So recently, Iman Gadzhi, an internet entrepreneur, launched a new concept called Digital Products 2.0, where AI would build the whole digital product for you from curriculum planning to scoring and full script generation. Sounds fantastic, isn't it? Letting AI create digital products, making it like the dropshipping of digital products. But the system costs about $2,999 per year and it's on its way to becoming a multi-million-dollar SaaS. And so that got me thinking, what if I could build it too? And how far can I go as a solo builder building using no-code AI agents today? And so I've decided to hit up n8n and spend the last 24 hours building my very own no-code AI agent course builder. And this is what I got, and I thought it was not too bad. And so all I gotta do is to prompt my agent from Telegram, and through my system, each of my agents will be hard at work creating the final module for me. And at the end of it, you can see over here in my Airtable, after giving it some information about myself using this example of Johnny with expertise, experience, passion, audience, and some of these basic informations, the agents are able to create different causes for me, right, with target audience, pain points, transformation, unique value zone scores, as well as the modules. You can see over here all the modules for each of the cause, right, the description, all the sub-modules for each of the cause, all the scripts as well for each of the sub-modules. So if you take a look over here at the course overview, if I open one of this, you can see over here I do have everything, right? From the course title to target audience, pain point, transformation, right? The score, the modules, the sub-modules, the full script over here as well. And so essentially all by myself, I've created a full agent system that creates course modules from me from top till the end on autopilot. And the coolest thing about it is this whole system costs only a couple of cents each run. And so today I'll run through an overview of how I did it and how you can do it too. And I do have all the resources linked in the description below, so do download them to follow along more effectively. Alright, so to start, now how did I come up with building this specific agent, right? How did I come up with this concept? So after hearing about this new concept of Digital Products 2.0, where the agents are able to build the whole system for you, I thought perhaps to get started, I want the agent to be able to get some information from me and create full generation modules, sub-modules, and even the scripts all generated for me as well. And so the first system that I create is the Telegram system, right? I want to be able to interact with this agent platform from a chat interface that I usually use, and Telegram is one of the interfaces that I use often, right? So I thought, what if I could just give it a text and it will auto-generate this new course for me and upload it into my database, right? So the first system is the Telegram system. Next up, I thought the first thing I want to have is the course creator agent. I want this agent to specifically create amazing course modules for me. And basically what it does is also to create scores as well as the main target audience based on the information that I provided it. So it needs to be able to create course ideas that scores high on passion as well as market demand and something that is unique that I can launch into the market. From there, the next agent that I want to create is the module creator. After having the main course idea created, I want this module agent to be able to create all the different modules for me as well as the descriptions for it. And after creating the module agent, you want to also have the sub-module creator to create all the different sub-modules for each of these modules as well as the description within it. Lastly, one of the most important things is to create an outline script. And how cool would it be if the agent could actually create the full script for me as well from top to bottom for each of these sub-modules. And that by itself creates my full course creator agent team that helps me generate new innovative course ideas from top to the end just like that. And so before I run through each of them one by one to understand how this actually works, let's go through some of the main things we need to set up for this specific system. The first thing we need to have is, of course, n8n. And n8n is an automation platform that allows you to create AI automations and AI agents using drag and drop no-code tools like building Lego blocks. So I really like this robust interface that is super useful for non-technical developers that wants to create powerful systems without having to go in-depth into coding. The next one I have is Airtable, which is where I store all my course information, the modules, sub-modules, the scripts, as well as the user database, our expertise, experience, passion, and so on. And so what you want to do is to make sure to create an Airtable base. You want to have a new base over here. Okay, we're going to call it course creator. I'm just going to zoom in for a better viewing. Okay, so I'm going to have 5 different tables here, and we're going to quickly run through what we want to have for each of them. For the first table, which is the user database, this is where we're going to store all the user information for our system. So what I have is to have the first one, which is a single line text, right? This is for our name, and I'm going to call it user. The second one is a long line text, right? This is where we can fill in certain expertise that we have that we think could be useful for the AI agent to help us create the course module. And the next one we have is experience. This is also a long text, right? And then passion, which is also another long text. Audience, this is the type of audience that we potentially want to serve. So who do we actually have a passion to serve or talk to? So another long text. And then this one will be linked to another table. Okay, so this is what I like about Airtable, is to be able to link each table to each other, and it's able to help me organize all of them neatly. Right, so to create this, you want to create a new one called link to another record, a new field, right? And essentially you want to create a new field called causes. Okay, so after we link to this new field, we also want to have a couple more fields here. The next one is created time. Okay, so this is a inbuilt field. You can just search for created time and name it created time. That's all you got to do. Last modified time, search for last modified time, and that's it. And then this is also linked to another table, another record. So you want to create a new field, link to another record, and name it modules. Okay, and then link to submodules as well. So link to submodules, okay, and then script, link to scripts. Okay, now we're going to go into each of the other table to see what's inside. So once you link it up, we want to make sure the first title for the cost overview is the cost title. Okay, so we want to have a field that's a single line text. This is for us to know the specific cost that we'll be generating each time, right? This is our cost title. And then we want to have the target audience. Okay, this is also a single line text. Okay, and then the pain point is the next one, single line text as well. We want to know the pain point that our target audience is facing, and the transformation, a single line text. And then the unique value zone is a score system, so let's give it a number as well. Okay, what you want to do also is to link this to the modules table as well. So you want to connect this link to another record and then link it to existing ones, right, where you can select the module table once you have created that. And then same thing here, created time, last modified time, and record ID is super important. Over here, you want to make sure you have your record ID as well. To have a record ID, you just need to use a formula field and type in record_ID bracket. This is super important for us to keep track of where to store the information later on in our n8n workflow. Okay, coming back, let's go into cost overview and finish up. You also want to link it to submodules, same thing, link to another record, and link it to scripts as well. Okay, and pretty much it's almost the same for the other tables. You want to start off with the name, which is the module. The description would be long text, the description of each module. Submodules, you want to link it to another record, which is also user. This should be shown once you have linked it from the previous record, so you don't have to recreate them again. You just want to make sure that this is there, so you just want to look through and make sure that you have all these different fields. Created time, last modified time, and you need to have a record ID for each of this table. Okay, same for here. If you've created earlier one, you just need to create a submodule. This is the single line text description. This is the long text description for the submodules. Okay, the scripts, and then the record ID once again, another formula. Okay, and scripts lastly. Same thing here. If you take a look, we want to have only the scripts, which is a long line text, and then it's also connected to the user as well as the other fields. I've actually hidden it, so if you open it up, you can see, if you show it all, we should be able to see all the connected fields as well. Okay, now all this should be connected, and then what we want to do next is to make sure we can organize them nicely, like what we have seen over here. So if we start off from the user database, we don't have to do anything here. Okay, we can just keep it as it is. For the cost overview, we want to group by one field. We're going to group by the user so that we can see all the causes that is created for a specific user. And for this system, what I actually want to do is to be able to create for different users, so that each time the agent creates, it will create based on the initial information that we've provided it. We don't have to always provide it a new set of information about ourselves whenever we want to create a new cost. Okay, and then for modules over here, you want to hide the fields. I'll actually hide the cost overview field as well as the script field. Do we need to see that? You can don't hide it as well, it's fine, but I just want to organize it better. And then I want to group by two fields, which is the user, okay, as well as cost overview. So you can see after grouping it, you should be able to see something like user cost overview. Okay, and then submodules, you can see I will group it by three fields, and I'll hide the other fields, all the different module fields which I don't really need to see. I just want to see the submodules, so I will group it by three fields, which would be the user database, which is the username, which is Johnny in this case, right? The cost overview, and then the modules. Okay, so you can see it over here for each cost. These are the different modules. And then lastly, for scripts, I will group it under each cost. So you can see for each cost, I do have all the different submodules and the scripts generated, right? So you can see the groups are over here, cost overviews, modules, and submodules. So once again, not to worry if all this is too complicated. You can repeat this whole section again, and you can get access to my Airtable template link in the description below as well. So to download that, copy it over to your own base, and then you'll be able to see the full format of how it works, and then you can take your time to really understand how I structure this whole system. All right. Okay. Once you have this database set up, you only have to set it up once, and the system is good to go. Okay. Afterwards, you want to connect your credentials to n8n. This allows us to connect it to our agents to upload into our database. So I'm going to go to n8n. I'm going to go into personal. I'm going to go into credentials. Okay, I'm going to create a new credential. If you see this button over here, create credential, and just search for Airtable API. Continue, and then you want to add in your API key over here. So how you're going to find that is to go into airtable.com/create/tokens. Okay, you want to create a new token, give it a name, let's say n8n new base. You want to give it these three specific scopes: data records read, data records, and schema base read. Okay, once you have that, you want to give access to that specific base, and I want to give it access to my cost creator base. Okay, once I have that, I'm going to go back to credentials. I'm going to type in the API key created, and that's all I need to do. Save it, and I'm good to go. And so another thing to set up before we go into n8n to build out the whole agent workflow, we want to go into Openrouter. This is a platform that allows us to connect to many different models out there. Another good thing about creating your own AI agent system is that I know most of you only know about, let's say, ChatGPT, but using Openrouter, I can connect to all the different models out there, like Queen, like Meta Llama, and I can decide which one I want to use based on the cost as well as the effectiveness of it. And this allows me to test and create the best system workflow that's most cost effective, as well as delivers the best result to me. All right, so what you want to do is to create a new account, get some new credits, okay? And then once you have the credits, you want to get your API keys over here, okay? And then you want to go into n8n credentials, create a new credential. You want to search for Openrouter over here, okay? Continue, and you want to add in your API key, and you're good to go. Perfect. And now we're completed with the initial setup. All we gotta do next is to set up the Telegram bot, and then we're able to go into n8n to build up our whole workflow. Okay, to create the Telegram bot, where we're gonna interact with the bot itself, we want to go into Telegram. We want to chat with this Telegram bot called BotFather. Okay, you want to type /start, and you will be able to gain access to the manuals over here, and then you just follow the instruction like /new bot to create a new bot. Once you create a new bot, what I want to do is to give my bot some instructions, and you'll understand why this is important later on. So I'm going to go into my bot, okay, type into this, right? And from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the bot that I've created. So the bot I've created is the super cost bot. And then you want to edit commands, right? So to create a new command, you can type in something like start, and then you give a description, start a new account, or you can say something like create a new account. And then once you're done with that, once you type in this command twice, you can see over here in my bot, I actually have created two commands. And if I type /, I will have the two commands. The first one is start new, and this is for me to create a new user base, right? Let's say I have a new user, I want to submit information, I will use this command. And then I will type in /existing to create a new cost for existing user, right? This is for existing information, and that's all I need for this system. Now don't worry, as I continue along to the n8n agent, you'll understand more on why I need this. But for now, just make sure to set this up, okay? And once that is done, the next thing you want to do also is to go back to bot. You're going to go into bot settings. You want to go into inline mode, okay? And make sure inline mode is turned on, right? This is important. So you can see over here that the user can choose the name, right? Because there will be many different databases from my system, and the user can choose who he is to prompt the course idea generation, all right? Okay, and that's all we need for Telegram. And we're going to start playing around with this very quickly. Okay, now that you've seen the Telegram bot, let's go into our agent platform. We're going to start with the very first one to create new and existing users. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play each system once, okay? And then you're going to see how it works. And then I'm going to run through behind the scenes how this whole system actually runs for us, okay? So I'm going to test out this workflow right now. Click test workflow, okay? And then I'm going to just type in /start new, All right, and here it asks for some information from me, right? This is for creating a new user. So I'll click respond, open link, and I'll have this link over here allowing me to fill up my name, my expertise, skill sets, and so on. So let's say I give it an example. My name is Denise. My expertise would be marketing, soccer, sports, 10 years of competitive badminton, is that how you spell it? Maybe let's go tennis and running, right? Let's say this is our expertise. And then what experience or skill sets do you have, your strengths, right? You can say I have a degree in computer science. What else could we have? We could say 5 years of consulting businesses on advertising, right? Work with Fortune 500 companies. Super random, but let's go into passion then. Let's keep it general. Let's say we are passionate about shows, we're passionate about going deep into deep topics, researching and breaking down complex concepts. Okay, and then what could your audience be? You could say you love to help out new moms, couples, and working adults. Okay, so this is just an example. Once I submit this, right, essentially, if I go back to n8n, it would update and create a new user, and you go into our platform here. You can see a new user, Denise, expertise, experience, passion, and audience. Okay, perfect. And so Denise doesn't have any cost right now, and we're able to create a new cost for it afterwards. And so all I gotta do then is to go back to this platform, test this workflow again. If I go into n8n, I type in /existing, okay, type this in. You can see over your prompt the second part where it allows me to choose the name that I want. Okay, so how do we actually get here? Let's run through this system. Okay, we're gonna start off with a Telegram trigger, right? And this is so that we can retrieve the information from our Telegram bot. So creating a Telegram trigger node, you can see over here, what I'm gonna do is to add in my credentials. Okay, so you've opened this up, create a new credential. This is where I'm gonna get an API token from your Telegram bot when you're creating it using BotFather. Okay, once you've connected it, you just have to click test step and you'll be able to pull in the Telegram message from Telegram to trigger this whole workflow. Very straightforward. And then next I'm gonna create an if node, right? This is essentially, I'm gonna have two different settings. The first one is start new, which is my very first command. The second one is the message is equals to existing. Right, so this is only triggered when I give it the commands and not when I type random message to this bot, okay? And so after typing this specific command, start new, it will actually move up, helping me create a new user. As you can see, it's stored in my Airtable. And if I type /existing, it will help me select which user I am to generate the new causes for me. So just random ideas. If you want to use this and sell it to businesses, you can use this as a simple platform to help different users generate causes on a request basis, right? So for the if node, you want to make sure that we only accept these two settings. First one is start new and existing. So essentially, if it doesn't have any of this information, like we mentioned, it will not actually trigger this workflow and no random message can trigger this workflow. Okay, once we have that set, we want to switch into two paths, right? So we have a switch node. Okay, and then we have the first path, which is routed on top, JSON message text. And how do we get this is to drag it over from here. Okay, if you go into the Telegram node, right, if you go into message and we're going to find message text, where is it? Okay, we can take it from the node before if node. How to map things over is just to drag this over and then you can paste this in and you can map over the text value. Right, and you want to make sure the text value is start new for the first top option, and then the text value is existing for the second option. And I'll rename it output name start new, and for the second one output name existing user. So these are two different paths for us to create for us in this workflow. Okay, so same thing here, right? Just to help you understand throughout the workflow, if you're new to n8n, right, one of the values that we want to use is to be able to route data from one node to another, from one place to another. So if you want to use information like the chat value, right, you want to be able to drag this data over here, right? Just have to use this schema over here. It's very simple, drag and drop. Just have to drag over the text value. Let's see, where is it? Message the text value here, and then you just have to paste this in. Make sure it's expression, and this format over here will allow you to copy over the information and use that as the dynamic information for our workflow. Okay, once that is done, the first top one is to create a new user. So I'm going to send a new message to the user. Okay, and then the chat ID is retrieved from the previous component. Okay, so I'm going to type /start again to just show you how that works. Right, /start. Okay, and then I'm going to test out this workflow. Okay, and then it's going to run to this process part. Okay, so you can see over here we do have the previous information, right? And then we want the chat ID to be from the previous table, right? Over here, this is the chat ID. Paste this in. This is to make sure that we are communicating on the same chat platform, not communicating somewhere else. And as per usual, make sure your credentials is always connected to the same Telegram bot. Okay. And for this, we're going to set it as send and wait for response. This is where we have a human in the loop concept. Now, if you have watched other AI agent videos, this is what it actually means. That is that I'm able to answer the agent before I actually move on. And this is super effective and super useful so that I can give it any information or approve or disapprove some of its actions throughout the process. And so over here, I want it to retrieve the information for a new user, like our username, expertise, experience, passion, and the audience. All right, so I'm going to give it a message first. I'm going to click expression. Okay, I'm going to give it this intro message like, hey there, buddy, happy to have you here, and I'm super excited to be creating this ultimate course for you. Before we get started, I'll need some information from you. Okay, and I'm going to give the response type custom form. This allows me to create a form to get information. And the first one I want is the name. So I say the field name would be what's your name, element type, text, placeholder, give it some information like your beautiful name, and I set it as a required field. Second is your expertise. Okay, placeholder would be some information to help him understand, is it marketing, relationships, and so on. Third is what experience do you have, right? Your strengths, your experience, your degree, and it's a text field as well. The fourth is what's your passion, another text field. What topics do you love to talk about, teach, go deep, or spend your free time on? What keeps you up at night? Lastly, who could be your audience? Who do you want to help most? Or this is a placeholder. And once we have that, I'm going to add in an option. Okay, I'm going to search for append n8n attribution. Turn this off, and that allows us to make sure that we don't have the message that says this message was sent by n8n, right? So there you have it, right? Once you have this, you will have the form that we have seen earlier. If I click respond, open this up, essentially the form over here with the text information that we've given. Perfect. The human in the loop concept for us to get information from it. Okay, and then once we have that, close this and go back to n8n. You can see over here, the next one is to create a new user. And all I gotta do is to then drag and drop all the information from the previous node. What's your name, what's your expertise, what skill sets do you have, and so on. So let me just play this once, okay, to retrieve the information. So let's give you a random one, A, submit. If you go into n8n, you can see over here, in the previous input, we will have the information like from data, what's your name, what's your expertise, skill sets, experience, and so on. So I have to drag all this information and just paste them in, and I can map them from Telegram and save them into our Airtable. You can see over here, there will be a new user, right? So let's keep it as it is. And that's all we have for the top section. Okay, let's go into the bottom section now. Right, so let's say we have already created our user, so we want to use the same user to create new causes for us. We want to trigger that new system, right? And so I'm just going to test it out once. I'm going to show you how that works once again. I'm going to type /existing, test out the workflow, right? And you ask for the name. Perfect. Okay, so let's go into the second part. The bottom part, the first one is search user, and this is an Airtable node. Open this up. Once again, for Airtable node, you want to make sure that the credentials is connected correctly. The base is course creators. The table would be from user database, right? It's the same for updating the Airtable over here, right? You want to make sure to update the user database. That's where you can map over the information to the correct fields. Okay, and what you want to do here is to return all, right? And so we're going to return all the information that we have gotten over here, and then we're just going to take the name. So next thing I've created is a code node. Now, not to worry if you hear the word code, I've actually asked GPT to create the code for me. So very simply, I just prompted and asking it, can I just retrieve the names to be used as inline for Telegram? And I just had to show it a screenshot of this specific component. Okay, once I've opened this, I have this specific code. So you have to understand, right, so much data over here. I want the constant item to be input all. Right, I want to filter the item json.user. You can see over here, this is the username. Right, so that allows me to map the text as the item.json user callback data, and I'll return it in a inline keyboard button format. Right, so this is the output that I've gotten. So you can see from here, at the end of it, I will have something like this: reply markup, inline keyboard, text, callback data. All these will be the name that will allow me to have something like this, right? What's your name? And I can select this and choose to trigger a cost creation based on the user generated. Okay, very cool. And now let's go back. And so for the last one, instead of using a normal Telegram bot to create such features, we do have to use something called HTTP request, which is to create a custom connection into our Telegram. Right, so usually there are custom nodes and there are already nodes set up for different integrations, but for applications that are unable to be integrated onto n8n at the current moment, we can actually create this thing called HTTP request and use the API documents from the Telegram platform or any other platforms that you're connecting to and connect it via this specific format. Okay, and this is actually very valuable to connect many different applications that we want for our automations. And so I want to be able to create something like this, which is an inline keyboard, right? And to do so, I'm going to create this new HTTP request over here. Okay, the method will be set to post. The URL would be this specific URL, api.telegram.org bot, and make sure to type in your API key over here, replacing this. Okay, make sure it's an expression. And then the format you want to send is JSON body type using this specific JSON. Make sure this expression, open this up. You can see over here, this is what we want to have is the chat ID, which will be the ID from your Telegram chat. You can find that from the previous node over here. So if you go into the previous node, you go into Telegram, you're going to copy this chat ID over. So you can either type in the chat ID like this, or you can drag and drop this over just like that. Okay, you get the same information. And then of course, remember the code that we have created earlier on, we want to have the inline keyboard. So we want to drag this over, paste this in, and then I want to type this button. Okay, so if I paste this in over here, you can see, right, I do have this specific format. But we want to stringify it to be a format that's available for Telegram to understand. So we just have to type in a bracket over it, right? Just like that, a bracket. Okay, and then we just have to copy the JSON stringify over here, copy this, paste this in, and you are good to go. That's all. Press back and you're good. And then you should have it working perfectly. Perfect. Okay, and that's all we need to do, and we will have the first part, which is to create a new account as well as to kickstart our course creation. Okay, now we're done with this first part, we're going to go into the second part, which is Scriptwriter Agent. And so let's test this out and see what happens. So what you got to do to test this out, we need to go into our Telegram bot, okay? And then we're going to test this workflow, and then we're going to select the name. So let's select Denise this time. And he's going to reply, welcome back, Denise. Now I'm going to get my assistant to help you come up with some course ideas right away. It's sure going to be fire. So that's pretty cool. So how do we do that? Let's take a look. Over here in Airtable, at the end of it, under Denise, we do have a new course created. And then we can go to course overview. Now Denise has a new course, okay, created by today. And we have all the different informations over here, and the status is pending, the value zone, the transformation, the target audience, new moms, couples, working adults, pain points, and transformation. So let's open this up. Really cool. And how do we get this, right? So let's go back to n8n. Our Scriptwriter Agent works like this. So the first thing we're going to do is to create a new Telegram node. And this is the trigger node for update callback query. Make sure the credential is connected to the cost agent, and this allows us to retrieve a new trigger each time we click into the inline button over here. Okay, once this is done, I'm going to move on to the next part, which is start course ideation, where you can see over here I'm going to use another one, which is send message. I'm just going to send it a fun message. The chat ID would be the Telegram chat ID, and a fun message would be something like welcome back, and I'm going to put in the JSON callback query data, which is the name. So you can see over here, this is the name that we have selected, right? You have data over here, copy and paste this in, so drag and drop. And then you have the specific name, which could be Denise or Johnny or any other names that you have created. I give it a fun reply. Now I'm going to get my assistant to help you come up with some course ideas right away. It's sure going to be fire. Very cool. And once this is done, I'm going to go into another Airtable node, search record. Okay. And I'm going to go into the base, which is course creator user database. I'm going to search the user equals to this, which is the query data, which is the name of the user. You take a look at expression, right? It is Denise. And I drag this over from the previous node over here, the same thing, the data over here, right? The name, paste this in. And so this allows me to only find information about the user we have selected from our user database, right? And then this allows us to get the information like the expertise, experience, passion, and audience to generate new causes for us. Okay, and from there, once I set into that, you'll get the information over here as an output. Okay, now this is where we're gonna get some fun. This is our course idea creator agent. So I'm gonna create an AI agent node, open this up. You can see over here. All right, I'm gonna give it two different sections. The first is the user message, which is where we're gonna provide it with some information about what to use for creating the causes. And the second one would be a system message. Okay, so how do I come up with this? If you open this up, you can see over here, I tell it here's the information about the user, the name, the user, the expertise, the experience, the passion, and the audience, right? And so you have all this information to use to generate the course ideas. So it's all relevant to this. Okay, and so this is where we want our agent to really function specifically for course creation. We want to give it a system message, which is like an instruction. And we want to set required specific output format to output the format in the format that we want to map it into course title, target audience, pain points, and so on. So how do we do so? Let's open this up. Go into course idea creator agent. So I know this is a lot of information and I'm just going to run through very quickly about how my prompt works. But if you really want to learn how to create different agents for your own different use cases, I am creating an AI agents community, link in description below. So do join that as well. All right. So let's take a look over here how I actually created the prompt and instructions for it to generate all of this information for us for this new specific course. Okay, with the scoring and so on. All right, so the great part about agents is that the more specific it is, the better it is for your own use cases. So I want this guy to be the expert course idea creator agent. I give it a role, I give it some input, and I tell it the task, which is to start off by using the search course tool, right? Which I'll show you in a short while on what I actually connect to it, right? To retrieve the causes created for the user, right? So it's so that the causes are new and doesn't repeat any previous causes for this specific user. Okay, and then based on the above, your task is to create the concept that best fits the user background and will deeply resonate with their target audience. So I want to create a course title, target audience, pain points, transformation, as well as unique value zone, which is a percentage score. 0 to 100 represents how uniquely positioned the user is to create this course, based on how aligned the course is with their passion, expertise, and experience. A specific score created by the AI agent. And I give it an instruction on how to calculate the scores as well. And then lastly, a output format, right? So I want it to be a JSON format. And so for all my AI automations, I like to use JSON format. This allows me to map out one specific text instructions into multiple outputs, right? If I get a normal output from the AI agent, it will be one single chunk of text. I won't be able to store it independently one by one in each of these different fields. JSON format over here allows me to separate them and see the course title, right? Insert course title here, target audience, insert target audience, pain points, transformations, and unique value zone. So this allows me to create 5 different outputs that I can map into my Airtable easily, okay? And you can see over here, if you look at the output, I actually do have all the 5 different outputs, and that's where I can get this new course created over here. Okay, coming back to n8n, I want to set required specific output format as well because I want this specific output format. So let's go into output parser. I just have to put in this JSON example over here. Okay, and we're good to go. And then just now we have created Openrouter account, right? So we want to connect the chat model to Openrouter. Okay, click plus and then you can search for Openrouter, right? Once again, this is to give the AI agent a brain to use. And so for this very simple example, we're just going to use GPT-4o mini, but you can choose many different examples. So if I open this up, you can see You just have to connect your credentials to your Openrouter key you've created earlier on. And then you want to choose the models. There's many models to choose from here. So you can choose the models that you want to use, and that's all you got to do. All right. And lastly, you want to have the tool. So I want this agent to be able to search back Airtable, like I said, right? To make sure that it doesn't recreate the same cost that has created for the person and the user beforehand. So we're going to go into n8n, create a new tool. I'm going to choose the Airtable tool, and I'm going to use the search record tool. And same thing here, we want to choose the correct base, the correct table, which is cost overview, and then we filter by formula. Users equals to map it over here, start cost.item.json.user. The user is Denise from previous settings. That's all we got to do. Perfect. And lastly, once we have all the information generated, we're going to create another Airtable record, which is to update the Airtable. And this time, the operation will be create a new record. The base will be cost creator. The table would be from cost overview. We're going to map each column manually. Okay, so we do have the options. Once again, from here, the cost title, target audience, we're going to drag them over. Make sure to paste them in, right? Unique value zone. Status, this time we change it to pending. And this is going to be used to trigger the next few options like modules generated, submodules generated, and scripts generated. And then the user, this is where we want to link it to the correct user. So this is super important on why we need the record ID. As you can see over here, if you look at the user database, we do have the record ID over here. Right, we want to link the modules that we have created, the cost that we created to the user. We want to drag in the record ID over here from the previous node, start cost. Record ID, drag this over, and put a square bracket on the outside to make sure that this works perfectly. Alright, once we're done with that, we have all the outputs uploaded into our Airtable, creating a new cost for our user. And the cost agent has done its job. It's time to move on to the next agent. Okay, now we're going to go into the module creator. So after we have the agent create the cost for us, we're going to create the modules, okay? And so I'm going to just test out this workflow once again, and then we're going to run through how this works. Alright, perfect. Let's go into Airtable and see what we have. Go into Airtable over here. Okay, you can see for this cost that we've created for Denise, we do have the modules created. So let's close this. We do have 4 modules and 2 bonus modules. Very cool. The name of it, the description. So you can see this is marketing masteries for new moms and working adults, right? So they have modules about understanding marketing basics clearly, identifying your target audience, crafting your unique value proposition, implementing actionable strategies, and so on. And you have the description for it as well. Pretty cool. It's linked to the user and the created time, last modified time, and record ID. All right, so how do we create this? If we go back to cost overview, now the status is set to generated. So we want to make sure it updates all this information as well as update the status as well to trigger the next creation of submodules. Okay, so coming back to n8n, let's go into n8n. Okay, we're going to quickly run through this. The first one is a schedule trigger. So a schedule trigger is what I use to schedule the workflow either through a certain period of time. So it can be every minute, every hour. And this will actually schedule this specific workflow to run. And as we're testing, we can use a schedule trigger for now. But if we want to really make it into production, that's where in future videos or in future guides, we can actually go into using a webhook to automate the whole process for production. Okay. Now, once you have a schedule trigger, it will schedule this workflow based on the time you set it. Afterwards, you're going to have an Airtable module. You're going to click search record. And we're going to search from cost creator, cost overviews, and the status equals to pending. Right, remember, we want to trigger the workflow to get started from the status pending to generate modules, right? So if you go into costs over here, once this is done, you have this specific fields from this cost because this is the only cost that is set to pending. Okay, and then it will now trigger the next AI agent, which is our module creator agent. What it has is also a connector to a model, which is GPT-4 mini, and a structured output parser. Let's open this up. Right, we provide it information such as the cost title, the target audience, the pain points, the transformation. It is what we need to create the modules, right? And then we're going to ask it to create a cost module for us. Okay, so using the cost title, target audience, and so on, it will create 4 short, powerful main cost modules plus 2 bonus modules. Now you can definitely change this prompt to, let's say, 5 short main causes or 5 bonuses modules, depending on how many you want for your specific cost. And then I'll give it some instructions on how to generate it. Each module must start with the name, let's say bonus module X, right, be under 10 words, be clear, actionable, and the output will be in this specific format. So we want to have each module, and we want to have descriptions for each of them and bonus modules as well. And this JSON will also be connected to the output parser over here. Paste here for the exact format that we want, you can see. Okay, and we want to turn this on. Okay, all right, and then we want to have a code. So what this code does is that because we have all of this information generated for us from the module creator agent, okay, we want to be able to map them one by one into the Airtable over here, so that we have all of them mapped accordingly nicely like this. Right, so once again, I created this code using ChatGPT to assist me, and what I do is to map them into this JSON format where it's all under one specific item group, okay, and the output will be something like this: module description, same name over here, and this will automatically help Airtable to map all of them when we update into Airtable. Take a look over here. All I got to do here is then to drag over the module field over here, paste this in. And although it looks like there's only one item here, after I paste this in, it will run through all 6 items. And I also add in the description over here, drag this and paste this in. And you want to map them and connect them to the user and cost overview. Right, so you want to find the record ID from the start module section. You want to drag over the user record ID over here, paste this in. Make sure to add in the square bracket over here. Super important to be able to connect the record ID. And then you want to do the same for the cost overview, which is found over here in start module cost overview record ID. Paste this in and put a square as well. Okay, and that's all you got to do. And very quickly, you have updated your modules and created your module creator agent. Perfect. And the last 2 agents will work pretty much in a similar manner as well. And you can see the similarities in how I actually generate each of this content for us. Okay. Okay, so now, once we're done with the modules, we want to create the sub-modules. Same thing here, I'm going to test this out, and let's run through how this works. Test workflow. Okay, you can see it's running perfectly. Sub-module creator, creating all the sub-modules. Let's give it a moment, and once that is done, let's take a look at what we have gotten. Alright, now that this is done, let's check out how this exactly works. So after this is completed, you can go back to n8n. You can see all the sub-modules is created for Denise course. Right, 4 sub-modules for each section, and that's cool, right? So we have all of this updated over here, and then we have the cost overview status set to sub-modules generated. Right, if you open this up, we do have all the information updated as well, modules, and then the sub-modules inside as well, so very cool. Okay, so let's see how do we actually generate this whole process, and how you can actually do it too. Let's go into n8n again. Once again, we start off with a schedule trigger node, and you can once again set the time that you want to schedule this trigger. Okay, and then once that's done, you're gonna have a Airtable node, a search record. Same thing here. We want to start by searching the cost creator base, cost overview. Status this time is set to modules generated, and return all. Okay, and then we want to speed out this time. Okay, you can see from here, because we do have 6 different modules, we want to get the information for each of them and then generate 4 different sub-modules for each of them. So this means we need to loop through each of them one by one, right? Because if we ask, let's say, ChatGPT to generate for us directly, it will not be able to generate all of them one by one, and you'll create a whole chunk of text that's messy, and it may hallucinate as well. But what I want to do is to run through them one by one. The agent will create each sub-module for each module specifically, and then paste it back into Airtable accordingly. So how we're going to do that is going to have a split out module. And then we're going to choose the field to split out, which is modules. Drag this and paste this in. And then we'll have something like this. We'll have 6 record ID. And for each record ID, this is where we're going to get the different modules from the module section over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And then we're going to create sub-modules for each of them. Okay. So really amazing over here. So once that is done, we're going to have a loop node, right? This is how we can loop over each of them one by one. Clicking the loop node, batch size 1, very easy, very straightforward. Okay, then we're going to get a get record module, right? This is a get record module from Airtable. Once again, we want to get it from the base, which is cost creator, and this time from the table, which is modules, and the record ID will be JSON.modules. Okay, this is for us to get the modules record ID to run through each of them one by one. You can see from here, let's say module 2, we're going to get the description and the module name to run through each of them one by one. Okay, so for each of them now, we're going to pass them through our submodule creator agent, and this guy is going to be hard at work, right, creating submodules for every single one of these modules, 6, right, 6 in total. So we open this up, we're going to pass it some information like the course title, the module, and a module description for each of them, and this will be passed to the agent 6 times to generate 6 different submodules for the 6 different modules itself. Okay, and I'm going to give it some instructions. Same thing here. I'm going to tell it its role, which is a submodule breakdown agent. The input will be course title, module description. The instructions will be generate exactly 4 submodules, right? This is what I want. You can once again change the value in the prompts, right? It can be 6, it can be 10, up to you. But you have to change the JSON output as well, okay? And then I'll give it some information like the name of the submodules always have to start with 11, 12, B1, B2, and so on for bonus. And this is how I like to organize my submodules. So once again, you can see how prompts actually helps you to organize the AI to work exactly in the way you want. Okay, and over here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We want to have titles and the bullet points for each of these submodules, right? Bullet points over here. So take a look. If I open this up, you can see bullet point descriptions on what the submodules is about. Very cool. And once this is done, I do have the JSON format here. Okay, make sure to copy this into output parser as well. Right, this is exactly what we want to have as the specific output format for this specific agent. Okay, make sure it's required specific output format as well. And chat model, I connected to GPT-4o mini as well to get started. Now, of course, if you want to get better outputs, you can connect it to better models and test it out as well. Once this is done, we're going to have another code module. And this is for us to make sure that we can return each of them in this specific format: title, description, title, description, title, description, and so on. So I'm going to use this specific code. Constant submodule equals to JSON.output submodules. And I'm going to return it in this format. This can be done easily by, once again, using other AIs like ChatGPT to help you type them out. So you do have to just learn how to actually prompt AI to actually help you create the different outputs that you want. Once again, this is how you can actually do amazing automations using no-code platforms and the help of AI as your assistants. Okay, and then lastly, to create record, you want to have a new Airtable over here. We're going to create a new record for each of them. So for each submodules, we want to create a new record over here in the submodule table over here. Okay, and so we're going to search for course creator submodules, create, and then we're going to map them, right? You just have to drag over the title, paste into submodules, description, paste it over here, and then you need a record ID to connect them to the correct person. So user database, you get it from the start module here, paste this in. Course overview, you want to get the record ID here as well, and then the module's record ID. Okay, once this is done, you will automatically update each submodule one by one under the modules. So total of 4 each. I've set it as such, and then you run through this loop 6 times for 6 different modules. And once that is done, same thing, we just have to create a update record module over here. Make sure to connect it to the course overview record ID. Change the status to submodules generated. And there you have it, your submodules creator hard at work, creating all the submodules for you. And now, once you've created all the submodules, the last thing we need to do is to really create the full scripts for us for each of these submodules. And so that's where we need our Scriptwriter Agent to create these amazing scripts for us so that we can copy and paste them, or we can speak through them for a whole course process. And essentially, our final step to build our ultimate course AI agent team builder. Okay, let's run this once and let's see how this works. Test workflow. Okay, let's give it a while. And once this is done, we're going to see the output that we have gotten from this. Alright, now it's completed. Let's see what we have gotten from this. Let's take a look. If we go into scripts, we do have all the scripts generated for all the submodules created for Dennis, right? Let's open this up. You can see this is the full script, right, for each of them. So really cool. You can start off by reading this. You can pass this to 11 labs to read this whole script. You have all of this generated for each of them, like full scripts. And 24 of them, 24 full scripts. And this usually takes a normal person a super long amount of time to generate the full script just like that. But this AI agent system creates everything from you from top to the end. If you go into course overviews, it's now set to scripts generated. So Now let's quickly run through how this last part works and conclude the whole agent team that we have created in the past 24 hours. Let's go into n8n. Okay, and let's take a look. We start off with a schedule trigger node once again to trigger this specific workflow. We're gonna have a search Airtable node. Make sure status is equals to submodules generated, return all. So this time it will drag over the submodules generated. You'll get information from the cost that we want to use. Okay, same thing here, split out node. This time I'm gonna split out the submodules view right over here. Let's take a look. And there are 24 of them all together. That allows us to create 24 full scripts for a whole course, right? This could be a full 21-hour course that's generated purely with AI. So moving forward, we want to have a loop over item as well. We're going to loop over batch size 1. And then same thing here, we want to get the record for each submodule. Use the get record. We want to choose from the base course creators submodules table, and then the record ID would be from the submodules over here. Paste this in. Perfect. Okay, and then it will loop them all over to our Scriptwriter Agent, our last and final agent in this team. This guy is working hard at work, right? So it's gonna help us get all the information first, right? The course title, the target audience, pain point, transformation, modules, submodules, and submodule description. I give it as much information as you can to create perfect scripts for each submodules. Okay, and then we're gonna open this up. Same thing here, instructions. Straightforward, tell it it's a Scriptwriter agent. It will receive the information, and then it will create a detailed structured long form script for the given submodule. Right, some instructions like convert the bullet points into paragraphs, ensure the script flows logically from introduction to body to recap, okay? And it's suitable to be read aloud by a course creator or used directly in a teleprompter, right? And end off with a strong ending and recap, and an output in this specific format, which is just the full script. Okay, same thing here. Output parser required specific output format. Our output parser would be this JSON example, and then you can see the output would be the full script over here. Amazing. Okay, and once that is done, we'll make sure to connect it to a chat model. This time I want to use something better, so I'm going to use something like ChatGPT 4o, and this is a little bit more costly. And you can definitely use even better models like the thinking models like O3 to generate even better scripts for you. Now what's even cooler than that is this system is still at its infant stage, right? If I were to make it even better, I could use tools like Search API to search the internet for different informations and connect the links over to create a script that has all the database from internet search as well to make it even more comprehensive. So this is really the power of building your own no-code AI agents, and it's really robust, and the sky is really the limit here, okay? Just to showcase the use case of it. And once you look through all 24 of them, we want to update our Airtable once again and make sure to connect the record ID to the course overview and update status to script generated. And there you have it, the final agent concluding our whole system, generating our full course module from top till the end. And this is just the base of what can be done within the past couple of hours. Now imagine if I actually spend way more time to enhance each section of the agent, right? Making the scriptwriter do even better scripts or come up with better content by using other tools like searching the internet or getting access to your own database or any other database information. It could actually generate even better information for you, and these can all be generated and created using no-code platforms like n8n. I hope this showcased to you the value of AI agents and what you can really do. And in today's world, one of the greatest benefits is that you really don't have to be a hardcore coder to be able to generate a system like this that creates value for both yourself or for businesses as well. Now all you gotta do is to be able to learn the fundamentals of how to connect different APIs, to understand how the whole system of AI works, and you'll be able to build systems like these. And many different companies out there, similar to Synthesized by Iman, is actually creating applications like this and packaging it and selling it as a SaaS, potentially making millions of dollars in the next couple of years. And this is an opportunity that you can grab as well. And so of course, I really believe that building AI agents is the greatest skill set of the next century. And so if you're really interested to learn more, to go beyond just getting blueprints, I am creating an AI agents hub, link in description below, to not only teach you everything about building no-code AI agents like this, but all the concepts and basics you need to build your own AI agents for your own specific use cases and how to navigate the AI space as things progresses. The best skill set is really not just about getting free blueprints, but it's about learning how to actually build these systems for different use cases so that when AI technology evolves and advances, you can always build practical solutions for your own use cases or any other use cases that you think may be valuable to you or your businesses as well. So I really do believe that AI agents will be one of the greatest and most valuable skill sets in the next century. So do sign up in the waitlist to secure your spot. Once again, hope you enjoyed this video and found this valuable. If you like videos like this, do give it a like and subscribe. Until then, I shall see you in the next one. Peace.